thank you for joining us. Great to have you here. If you don't know, my name's Chris. I am the co-founder of UK Homes Network. We are the first social media platform exclusively for property. So if you're in the property industry, if you haven't signed up to the platform, please do. It's free to join. I'm joined by Mark today, who has been an absolute champion of UK Homes Network. You can see Mark posting every day. So if you've got questions regarding anything that's purchase lease options or about growing your network or your portfolio, then please do make sure you reach out to Mark in UK Homes Network after this. All you have to do is search UK Homes Network in the app stores. You download the app, it takes a couple of seconds to create a profile, and then you'll be able to network with thousands of property professionals across the country that are all keen to network and hear from you. So yeah, it'd be great for you guys to join us. And it's a great way to promote your business and what you're doing around the industry. I think obviously a lot of people are trying to use things like LinkedIn and Facebook, but not get very far with the algorithms and sort of all the complications of using traditional social media. So it would be great to have you in there. And we've grown by 150 members in the last week. Also, just to say, it is also our first birthday. So this time last year, we launched UK Homes Network. Yeah, it's been quite a ride over the last 12 months. So we'll kick things off. It's, as I say, great to have you here. If you want to put questions in the chat for Mark, we'll try and get round to those at the end with a live Q&A. If you like this webinar or interested in any other webinars that we'll be running throughout the year, we're due to announce our February webinars very, very shortly. So please do sign up to UK Homes Network. There is a full events tab that you can go through, find all different webinars, not just from UK Homes Network, but from our partners as well. And also we've got a number of networking partners, so property networking events across the country. So you can find your local networking event. And I'll be speaking at Mark's on the 6th of February. But
I was hoping you were going to mention that.
Yeah. yeah. I'm really looking forward to it. So if you enjoy this session and you want to hear a little bit more, I'm going to be doing a 25-minute talk on how to leverage social media to find more property deals and grow your personal brand through social media. And I'm going to be doing that at Mark's event that he hosts in Northampton with his wife Christine. So it would be great to have you there. If you've never been to a PIN event, you can also use the discount code UK Homes Network and you'll get your first ticket free for attending. So it would be great to have you guys there. Anyway, that's enough for the self-promotion because today it's all about Mark and all about purchase lease options. So Mark, I'm going to hand over to you. How are you doing?
Morning. Yeah, I'm fine, mate. Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me. It's much appreciated. So, and the risk of making your head even bigger, mate. It's a fantastic app. You and David have done a great job here. So thanks very much for that.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
My code for the meeting, by the way, if you can't spell UK Homes Network, is Mark29. So by all means, use that as well.
Great stuff. Mark29 if you want to use Mark's code. So yeah, get your first meeting PIN meeting free with that. So Mark, purchase lease options. You've got as everyone can see, you've got some slides.
Yeah, I've got some slides. I'll go through a little presentation. We've done we've done a couple. I mean, we still have a couple on the go at the moment. So hopefully by the end of the presentation, it'll kind of make sense of what it's about. The slides are a little bit old, but it gives a very good concept of what purchase lease options is all about. So
great stuff. Yeah. Well, I'll hand over to you.
Let's take it away. All right.
Go straight in. Yeah.
Sort out this technology. My age is usually against me for technology, but hopefully it should be okay.
It's not a proper webinar unless there's a tech issue.
I know, yeah. So I was just about to say that actually. So is that not done? There we go. May everybody see that? Can you see that, Chris?
Yeah.
You should start kicking in. Start pressing the right button. That would help. Right. Thank you. Yeah. As I say, Chris, thanks for inviting me. Yeah. Purchase lease option agenda. I'll go. This agenda of going through the slides. So hopefully by the end of it, as I say, hopefully makes sense about what purchase lease option is all about. I'll go into slides of who am I, what have I done, what is a purchase lease option. There's a slide later actually which says it's a tool. It's not a strategy, it's a tool because you can use it with quite a few different things. When to use a purchase lease option, how to use one, how to speak to the vendor, and how to structure a purchase lease option. So let's crack on. So who am I? My name's Mark. Look for education. Attended a PIN meeting in 2018. I joined Mastermind Accelerator in March 2020. This is all PIN related. So if people don't know about PIN knowledge and how to gain knowledge on things, PIN Accelerator is a 3-day course which teaches you all about strategies, and it's absolutely fantastic. You come out of it, unfortunately, a little bit mind-boggled, but it's really good. We then went on to join Mastermind 29 in April 2020 during good old COVID days. I know COVID seems a memory away, but it's 2 years lost to your life, basically. But we did that for a year, and it went on for 18 months because it's during COVID. So because of the restrictions, we were on Zoom first, then we went into actual live meetings, but absolutely wealth of knowledge. It was brilliant. So yeah, Mark and Christine, I've been in packaging for 30 years, over 30 years I was. Importing, just had a little conversation with Chris before. I used to import to Far East. I'm still in the same time zone, so I still get up at 5:30 in the morning, which is very annoying. And that's like 15 years ago. So, but yeah, from leaving school, went into packaging. So supplied people like Goldsmith Group, H. Samuels, Mapping and Webb. Went to London, which I don't miss whatsoever. I used to go, apologies to people if they live in London at the moment, but I used to go there, and there was a saying that it used to take about an hour and a half from Birmingham to get to London, but an hour and a half to get into London. And I used to do that like twice a week, which was, yeah, I suppose at the time you appreciate what it's like. On my second marriage, in fact, we're both on our second marriage. Christine can't be here. Again, I just mentioned to Chris, I said she's gone to the dentist, and I know what I'd rather be doing. So not going to the dentist and being on here, but never mind. So she's out, unfortunately, at the moment. Christine, well, I'm full-time in property after being furloughed by Christine because she's in accounts. There it is. Christine's an accountant, still working. She works 2 days a week doing accounting work, and then property the other 3 days. Well, it's 5 days. If you're into property, you know it's a 7-day job, really, basically. Between us, we had 4 single lets since 2008, and we still own 2. We sold the one in Llandudno because that was obviously a little bit far away for us. We're in the, well, at the time we were in Leamington area. Now we're in Daventry area. But Llandudno was quite a way away, well over 2 hours. So we thought we need to get rid of that one. And also got rid of my 2-bedroom apartment overlooking the sea in Clevedon, just outside Bristol. And it's one of those things you look back and think, yeah, why did I do that? Because it would have been absolutely fantastic as an essay or something. That would have been great. But hey, the damage has been done, so they say. We've been in the PIN network since, well, for over 5 years, basically. We run the Northampton PIN meeting, which Chris is talking about, which we mentioned. So by all means, pop along to that if you can next week. Right, my achievements. Well, during Mastermind 29, we looked at, I don't know if it's a little bit probably ahead of us at the time, because it was like 2020 when we started doing our journey properly. And we looked at the barn in Poolhead Lane. We were about to purchase it. In fact, we did go ahead and purchase it, but we put it on to Steve Hammond, who runs the development network. He runs another network program, but I know Steve quite well. Put it onto him because he's a builder. At the time, he was building 14 flats, and I've been around to see him quite a few times. And we, and funny enough, Chris and I are not deal sourcers, but we did do it for a fee. So he paid us a £5,000 fee, and he took it on. And I think, well, as I said, the main reason I think we let that go was we weren't quite ready for that kind of ambitious project. It was converting the barn into 2 4-bedroom units. So, but hey, no problem. We got paid for it, so it's classed as a deal sourcing thing, I suppose. Also got, in fact, this is one I'm going to mention about through this presentation. It's a 6-bedroom HMO we have in Banbury. It's 2 flats and 4 bed sits, so it's unusual. It still comes under the 6-bed HMO umbrella with Cherwell Council. It was confirmed during October 2020 during COVID, and that's me outside with the customary holding the keys, because in those days you thought, well, this is the picture we need to get. I know it's a little bit cliche when people say it's a bit of a cheesy photo, but hey, it was our first major purchase, so we were proud of that moment. We've also got on the go at the moment. Well, this is one I'm talking. Also, at the moment, sorry, I'm in this property at the moment. We converted this post office, which is in a little village outside Daventry. We converted it to a 3-bedroom terrace, end of terrace. Sorry, yeah, you know where I live. It's a 3-bedroom end of terrace. It used to be a post office, as I was saying. It's quite spooky. It'd been empty for about 2 years, but it's one of those. I was viewing other properties in the area. And the lady who, the estate agent lady, kindly said, "Well, do you want to have a look at this?" And I thought, well, I'm open to ideas. I'll have a look. And went in, and it was really scary, really, because it'd been empty for about 2 years. But it was one of those places you went in. It was fully stocked, not as a post office, because the post office had been moved down to the chemist down the road. But it was fully stocked as a greeting cards and everything else that was in it. And you could literally have opened it the next day. That's how spooky it was. And it had 3 bedrooms upstairs, and we thought that'd be a good idea. I did tackle the estate agent, and we put offers in. Forgot the figures. I remember the figures were about, I think it was 136,000 to put an offer in. It was up for 165. Originally up for 210, but it came down to 165. I put an offer in. Well, came back to Christine. Christine did all the figures because she does the numbers and spreadsheets, and we came up with a figure of about 136, which was a little bit lower than what we thought. I was hoping he'd put the offer forward. He put the offer forward, which he did on that occasion, but she promptly rejected it. But then we went on, well, perhaps we can do a purchase lease option. We were learning about purchase lease options. There is a connection. So yeah, but it's assisted sale. We also did assisted sale. So we offered assisted sale on a commercial to resi property. So there's 2 or 3 strategies in one there, which was quite good education. The estate agent actually put all the deal, well, allegedly put all the deal to her, but apparently it was rejected the next day. I got in contact with the Pika is the lady. I got in contact with the vendor, and she had heard nothing whatsoever about what we were proposing. So we had a few Zoom calls because it's still in COVID. Had a few Zoom calls, discussed it because I'd put a letter through that letterbox there, funny enough. As somebody pointed out, oh, you posted through a postbox. But yeah, that's the truth. But anyway, put the letter through. She phoned me, thankfully, and we discussed what we could possibly do. And it also came, and bearing in mind, it's on the market for 165. By the time we'd gone through the conversation, this is part of building a rapport up and talking to the person. She said, "I'll accept 160. That's as low as I can go." So at least I had a talking point of where I can start. So I said, well, if we can do assisted sale and commercial to resi, we'll convert it. We do assisted sale, which means that we do all the work, we're paying all the bills, we pay solicitors' charges, etc., etc. And she was happy with that. And I had a figure, 160, so we agreed on 160. So it's all going through fine, and it's on the market at the moment. So it looks nothing like that, thankfully. Still got the windows because it's in a conservation area, so they stipulated that we had to keep the windows, which is slightly frustrating because you're looking for somebody who wants a house that looks like a shop, basically. But we're still tackling that, so we'll see how that goes. Also on the go is it's a portfolio of 5 6-bed HMOs. This is on purchase lease options as well, trying to. It was up for 2.1 million. We've agreed at 1.7 million, so we've agreed the price. The only sticking point at the moment is the term time. Term time, we wanted to do at least 8 years on this project. But there are people out there older than me. He's a little bit older than me. He's looking to retire, as I say. And we're just trying to get the time down. But at the moment, it's a little bit difficult to get the figures to work for the time frame that he's asking, because he just wants to get out and retire, basically. But we'll see how that goes. So that's still on the go at the moment. So what is a purchase lease option? I'll put it onto this. I purposely have left this as just a one slide, basically, because it's important to say it's a tool. It's not a strategy. There are about 16 different strategies out there to purchase property, but purchase lease option you can probably use with most of those. So it's a pretty good tool to have in your bag. How to use one? Send out lots of landlord letters direct to vendor. We've got we've got a number of properties now. I haven't achieved any through estate agents, and my apologies, estate agents. I know there's good ones out there. It's just that unfortunately, in my whatever route I've taken, I haven't managed to find them yet on a regular basis to landlords. A good way of doing this is get onto the council websites, find the HMO landlord addresses. You don't want the HMO addresses themselves, because that's a little bit of a waste of time. Find the addresses for the landlords and send letters out to them and work out, well, not saying how to do it, but we work from outwards, inwards, if you know what I mean, distance-wise, i.e. there were a couple of landlords we come across that live in Australia and different countries in America. So we sent letters out to those, because if they got property in UK, chances are they might be looking to offload them. So that's a good way to start. Most of the lists for the landlord, for the vendor addresses for the HMOs are on the council website. You don't normally have to pay for them. There is, I think it's a 1974 ruling that you can kind of demand the information, but in my little history of dealing with councils, it's probably not too good to get confrontation from the start. So I tried to do it appeasably. The only one we've had to pay for is Northampton, when we had to pay £90 for that list. But it went on, we did it as a limited company. We have limited companies, obviously, but we were saying to them, well, we're trying to get more information, and we're trying to sort out deals for HMOs, etc., etc. And that's why we need the addresses. And they agreed to it for the fee of £90. But there are nearly 900 properties in Northampton. It's Article 4, but there's nearly 900 properties in that area, so well worth the price. Time period for a purchase lease option is usually 3, 5, or 7 years, or any. I've just put those years down. You can use it for any time. We've got one on a go at the moment in Corby for 2 years, and that's purely because she was looking to sell. We couldn't get. We had it valued. It was downvalued slightly. We couldn't agree on the asking price, so I said, well, if we do it this way, purchase lease option, are you able to do it that way? And we have struck a deal up. It's currently being refurbished at the moment. So that's another way of hopefully a purchase lease option. If clients or vendors are usually looking for too much money, which I think is about, don't quote me, but it's about 74%. When I was talking to agents and doing a few viewings recently, they've said there's probably about 74% of people, of vendors, put their own prices in. Now, in my limited experience, I kind of think, well, estate agents are probably the best people who know the prices in the area. So why wouldn't you go with an estate agent's price? But vendors are, as the estate agent said, asking usually for too much. So this is where a purchase lease option usually comes into the deal. So they get the price they're asking for, but it's your offer on your terms, basically. So it's their price, but on your terms, and that's what you're looking to do. The longer the period, the more likely prices will increase. So purchase price may be 75% of the value. So if you do a PLO for 3, 5, or 7 years, historically, prices usually go up on property. It's a good investment. So that will usually work pretty well to your advantage. Property requiring a light refurb will add value. The one I'm going to show you shortly is a well, I just showed you a picture of it. We're holding the keys. It's a 6-bedroom HMO, mid-terrace. So there's no garage. There's no loft, because there's a flat in the loft already, in the loft area, so I couldn't do that. But the guy had owned it since 1992. He had 50 properties in his portfolio, but unfortunately this was the last one. But as I say, he owned it since 1992, so it needed bringing into the 20th century, basically. So we did a light refurb on it. I say light, you'll see the figures later. It's probably quite costly for a light refurb. It needed more work, as usual, than you think. But it's good, and we had a pretty good valuation afterwards. So, also with the PLOs, maybe keep some for cash flow, keep them back to the deposit required for any purchase, and acquire a few on options and sell them to finance others. When to use one? When to use a purchase lease option? If you don't have the funds right now, it's a purchase lease option is great. So if you don't have the funds to actually buy the property, as I say, I just explained previously, it's good to explain that, yeah, maybe I can get to that price, but can I do it this way? It's a little bit educational, because people don't know about purchase lease options too much in the residential market. It's getting a lot of traction now and getting a lot of interest, but in the commercial market, it's probably been there about 50, 60 years. So if you're talking to commercial agents and you talk about purchase lease options, chances are they'll really know what you're talking about. It's great. Is the vendor motivated? If the vendor doesn't need the money immediately, that's another good point to offer a purchase lease option, because if they don't need the money, they'll take the rent, no problem. And if they're not willing to do vendor finance, and also if there is good cash flow. How to structure one? Establish over what time period? I touched on that earlier with 5, 7, 3, 5, or 7 years, the ideal points for us. Other people have other ideas, and as I say, we've got one on the 2-year anyway. We've agreed one on the 2-year PLO, which is a little bit tight, but we've done our figures and we know what we can do. Agree on a final purchase price, i.e., what the price today, what you want to pay in about 3, 5, or 7 years, whatever the price will be. So agree on that final price. Formalise any upfront option payment. I know sometimes I'm sure people have seen, oh, you can buy a house for £1. Yes, you can, but then you have all the fees that come in with it, all the solicitor fees and any other fees that come into it. So the one I'm going to show you now, 159 in Banbury, is an option agreement for £1. So I did actually buy it for £1, but obviously all the other costs came into it. Agree the monthly lease payment, i.e. the rent, and also write these up onto a heads of terms before you even talk to solicitors. So get a heads of terms in place, i.e. all the points above what you've agreed on, get them, then get sent off to solicitor. Saves a stack of time, saves you a lot of money as well, because they charge for actually, believe it or not, I'm sure people have had experience with solicitors, but they charge for their time for doing all this stuff. So if you do a heads of terms, you've agreed all these final points, and it makes their job a lot easier. How to speak with the vendor? Well, as I said, we were sending letters out. We send letters out probably 150, 200 per week. You're looking for the vendor to ring you up, and you'll probably, unless they're very, what can I say, very motivated or very knowledgeable, chances are they're probably a little bit or a lot nervous. So you need to gain the rapport, gain the trust, etc., etc. Just speak to them as if they're obviously human beings, but just speak to them as if you're trying to gain the trust and have a good conversation with them. Discuss what they need from the property, not what they want, because these are absolutely poles apart. You'll probably find some of the properties, as I say, I mentioned earlier, that they're looking for a hefty price for a property. So that's what they want, as opposed to what they actually need from the property. Approach the idea of a purchase lease option without using the words. Good idea not to use the words purchase lease option or PLO, because it tends to confuse people if they've never heard of it before. And if they're selling, what would they do with the money? Would they prefer to still receive an income, which is a purchase lease option? So you kind of go along the lines of, well, yeah, I can probably match that point, but what about we do it over a couple of years and you receive an income in the meantime, a monthly income? So, and you'd have worked all the figures out on the spreadsheet, so you can work out what you can do previously, hopefully, and then just give them some idea. Answer any objections they may have. There's only a couple of handful of objections I tend to have had, and probably one of the main ones were they are concerned about getting the property back. And I did say research. I did some calling off all the friends I know about purchase lease options, talked to a few colleagues, and there was only one in about 24 people I spoke to who actually said, just tell them what they want to hear. Now, one of those people that like to sleep at night. So if I'm going into purchase lease option, chances are I'm going to buy it. I am going to purchase it because I know it's an option. You can sell the deal if you want to. We haven't as yet, and we've no intention really if we can help it. So the idea is going ahead and purchase it. But that's one of their objections. They think, well, what if I get the property back? But you probably would have, well, as I say, I'm looking to purchase it anyway. And then if you've invested time and probably quite a bit of money into the property, doing whatever you need to do to get it revalued at a better price, there's a pretty good chance you're not going to give it back. So it's a kind of final thing. So you need to stress that across to them. That is, yeah, PLO, that's it. I look after the property. I pay you a rent. Job done. No problem. Make sure it's a win-win. If you're talking to them, making sure everybody's happy, you're happy, they're happy, etc., etc. And then suggest a list of solicitors who know about purchase lease options. That probably should have been number one sentence, but I didn't want to put it at the top, because I had a conversation with Andy Haynes, actually, who set up Bradley Haynes Solicitors. He's not a solicitor himself, he's in the PIN network. But one of the very early conversations with him was, you cannot tell a solicitor they don't know what they're talking about. And apologies if we have any solicitors listening. But it's kind of true. It's like it with accountants. It's good in the property world. It's good to deal with accountants who have property because they know how it works. It's good to have solicitors who know about property because, again, it's good. It shows that they know how it works. I did actually suggest to actually for this other project, the city sale and commercial resi, did actually suggest a list of solicitors to them, but they decide to go with their own solicitor. And also with this one I'm going to show you later, the 159 Milton Road, it's also I gave them a list of solicitors, but he'd used the same solicitor for 50 years, and he was adamant that that's the guy they want to deal with. And it's a project. It's a project that probably should have went on about 4 or 5 weeks, went on for about 9 weeks. So it's important to get solicitors who know about purchase lease options. Right, case study. This is a property, Middleton Road in Banbury. As I said, it's a 6-bedroom HMO. Picture there. There's before and after picture. There's 2 flats, one flat at the top and one flat at the rear of the building, and 4 bed sits in between. This was a before and after picture of the flat upstairs. I got the we quite acquired the kitchen through Magnet, which is quite, where they're also supplied by LMPG, or LMPG go to Magnet. Sorry, they have a deal with Magnet. And most of all of this in the pictures below are associated with LMPG. And just as it's not a selling point, but just as another point, Chris is doing his talk on 25 minutes, but the other talk for 45 minutes is Anthony Grice from LMPG. So if you don't know about LMPG, or you have an interest in LMPG, by all means come and have a shout. Come and have a listen to it and see what it's all about. This kitchen, which was replaced the old kitchen there on the left, we bought from Magnet. We did the whole kitchen, which has obviously the oven as a fridge, freezer, and everything else that's in it. We had a 73% reduction, which was through LMPG. So we're members of LMPG, bought it off Magnet, and made a huge saving on it. Not all the companies deal with have that kind of saving, but Magnet are a real good company to deal with. This is the bedroom in the same property in the flat, because it's a 1-bedroom flat at the top of the building. As I say, the colour schemes there are turquoise, dark grey, light grey, and white. So we tend to use those colours if we can, and hopefully you can see there's a bit of improvement there. This is the other side of that top picture, which is has the kitchen, but this is the other side of the thing. It's a kitchen lounge, so still a 1-bedroom flat, but again we used Fusion Furniture, which is part of LMPG, for all the furniture on the right. So mishmash of furniture. We got rid of all that old furniture, which was, you can see there, a horrible chest of drawers where it meant to be, and also that fridge freezer. Then we put all the new stuff in, like the new table, new settee, etc., etc., etc. And Fusion are a fantastic company to deal with as well. They came in, bearing in mind it's top floor flat, so it's 3rd floor, but they carried everything up, put everything in place, got rid of all the old stuff, because there was some old furniture in there. They got rid of all that, got rid of all the packaging that came with the new stuff. So yeah, absolutely nice people to deal with. And also there's a saving there, so LMPG again. And these last 2 pictures are the downstairs. It's classed as a flat, but I'd more call it as a studio flat. So you can see it's the same settee there, but the one down on the bottom picture is actually a bed settee. So it's a lounge stroke bedroom, and with the kitchen going behind. If you see the fireplace there, which we kept as a feature, which was suggested by the first tenant who moved in actually. She said, because that was all covered by plasterboard. So we took all that off, and they just said, well, why don't you just keep it as a feature? So we have kept it as a feature. And then to the left of that, you can go through to the kitchen, and then there's also a toilet and bathroom out the back with a shower. So, but it's more of a flat. It's just it's a studio flat. So the bed settee comes in that lounge area, as opposed to the one of the pictures at the top, which is a 1-bedroom flat. He has got a bedroom off to the side. This is, as I say, there's pictures of me outside Middleton Road in Banbury. It's a 6-bedroom HMO. It's direct to vendor, so that was the consequence of sending all the letters out. I took the call, started building a report. He previously sold for 350,000, but it fell through. Now, I don't know whether it fell through because they might have thought they bought it too high, or it was just at the beginning of COVID. It was about April area, so probably just after COVID crashed in. So that could have been a reason it fell through. We did a 3-year PLO, and we agreed a price of 300,000. So already there's a nice reduction there. But as I say, don't know whether it's overpriced in the first place, whether it's COVID related, etc., etc. We don't know. But anyway, we agreed a 3-year purchase lease option for 300,000. Cost of our refurb went into 51,000. I say it's a light refurb. Light refurbs don't usually cost that much. But this went into 51,000 because, say, 1992 when he took the property on, and he'd done very little to it. GDV is 445. We had it valued at 445. Rental income is 3126. Rent to the landlord, which is the lease option, but lease option is 1125. So we're paying him. We've actually bought this property now, but we were paying him 1125 per month. He was happy with that. As I say, going back to earlier slides, this was ripe for PLO. It was a purchase lease option written all over it. No, you don't go into vendors and saying, well, I've got a great deal for you, a great creative strategy, purchase lease option. You don't normally go in with that attitude, because purchase lease options are not difficult to find, but a little bit harder to find, because it's educating, for want of a better word, educating vendors to say, well, this is the way I can do it. I can match your price, but I need to do it this way. But it worked on this occasion. And as I say, he had 50 properties. This was the last one. So motivation wasn't his goal, but he also didn't need the money. So it worked really well on that case. So yeah, we paid him the 1125 per month. Bills were around about 605. Obviously, they've gone up slightly now. But the monthly cash flow at the time over the 3 years was 1396. So not a bad deal. £1,400 for looking after a 6-bedroom HMO, paying the landlord. Everybody's happy. We're happy. He's happy, etc., etc. So it all worked pretty well. Key learnings. It's important to create a win-win situation with the owner. That's part of the conversation I had earlier. As I said, just make sure you talk to vendors and try and get that win-win situation. I know it's a phrase that people probably don't like hearing, but you have to be happy, they have to be happy, etc., etc. Delays were due to using unspecialised solicitors. Again, I touched on it earlier about using solicitors who know about purchase lease options. Otherwise, it just drags on the time so much. And it's also a case, I mean, when I saw the vendor of Middleton Road, when I went up and saw him, because he lived quite local in Banbury, he still does, where I went up and saw him, and he one time when I went up on a coffee with him, I had many coffees with him, so it's quite a case of keeping the relationship going, etc., making friends, basically. We're still friends to this day, so it's going on quite a few years, 4 or 5 years now, but we're still good friends. But he stood at the his doorstep, his doorstep where he lived, with a letter saying, he had a letter from a solicitor saying absolutely many reasons why you shouldn't do it. But he said, but we've sat down and we've agreed it. We agreed the heads of terms. We know what we want to do. So that is the point of talking to solicitors who know about purchase lease options. Otherwise, it doesn't make it impossible, but makes it rather difficult to deal with solicitors who don't know about it. Answer any objections they may have. Work with them, not against them, i.e. Any objections of whether they're going to get the property back. I touched on that earlier, that yeah, if you're investing a lot of time and money, chances are you won't be looking to get the property back. Plus points: in control of property that I don't own. That question here, sorry, I'll go back to that in a minute. Yeah, in control of property I don't yet own. We can stamp our brand on it, which is, we stamped our colours on it, so we refurbed it, put it to our own colours, and then hence that adds value. Then we have it revalued, refinanced, take the money out, pay everybody off. Going back to the first sentence, win-win situation again. These are my details. Happy to talk to anybody if they wish to. My Facebook and LinkedIn, my email address there, which has changed, but that email does come through to my other email, so that's fine. But by all means, give me a call, or give Christine a call and say, Christine does accounts and spreadsheets and numbers, so I like to think we work pretty well as a team. I kind of like doing networking and network a lot actually, as some of my posts do show. Networking is important though. I think during Mastermind 29, when we were on the course, it was in COVID, but then in that year I did 106 meetings. But you could, because it was on Zoom, so I could do as many meetings as I could. And there were occasions where Christine would be upstairs doing a Zoom on one PIN meeting, and I'd be on another PIN meeting doing another call. So hence we did a lot of networking. I still do a lot of networking, and it's important because you never know who you're going to meet, and it only takes one person or one investor, for instance, and if you're not out there, or not putting yourself out there, in my opinion, you're probably not going to meet them. And it's not a case of, even if you don't meet them, it might be who they know. So, which I'm sure people have heard that phrase before, but yeah, it's so important. Right, I think that's me about done, Chris, if that's all right.
Mark, that was excellent. You crammed in so much information into such a short space of time.
It's one of those, unfortunately. I mean, every PLO is a different deal, and you do go through things and you think, well, I don't know. I could be here for hours talking about purchase lease options, but I'm trying to get just the basics. So a lot of people would think, well, yeah, it's a possibility. I could possibly do that strategy. I'm here anyway. I mean, if my email address was there and my number's there, so by all means, I'll help anybody. Which is the other thing I found really helpful with property. People really help each other. Whereas in packaging trade I was in, and probably in most other businesses, it's very dog eat dog. But property, everybody's there to help. I know on Mastermind 29, we had a guy there, Gary. He had more properties than Simon Zucci himself. But as he said, he's just there to network and connect with people and put people in touch with people, which is what it's all about.
100%. Mark, that was amazing. Thank you. We have got a couple of minutes left, so if you can still hang on for a couple of minutes, I know there's a few people that want to put a couple of questions to you. So guys, if you've got questions, please do put them in the chat. Mark is around for a couple more minutes to answer those. We've got a question from David. Hi Mark, may I ask you what deposit you put down on your Banbury HMO?
Well, for the purchase lease option itself, it was only £1. So we had the contract drawn up to say that's where I said you just buy a house for £1. It's great, and I've also done it. I've got another one down the road. We bought that property now, the one I was showing you, but we also bought another one on the same street just down the road. No, we haven't bought it. Sorry, it's on a purchase lease option. It's on a 3-year purchase lease option. That was agreed at £1 as well. Again, it's element of luck there because it's a case of dealing with people who don't need the money. But the lease option itself or the deposit can be whatever they need. So if they say, well, I'm selling a property for 300, but I could do with £20,000 right now. Oh, there's your purchase lease option figure. So 20,000, so you pay them in 20,000. That could be your deposit. Then you carry on doing the deal after that.
Brilliant. I mean, Mark, it's something that I've been aware of for a few years, and it's not talked about that much in networking circles. I don't know if you've had the opposite, because obviously you it's something you deal with on a day-to-day basis. But is it a competitive market with purchase lease options? Because I remember, me and you will remember about 8 years ago when people started talking about Coventry and the HMO's opportunity in Coventry. So it was like everyone descended from across the country on the PIN meeting in Coventry to discuss HMOs. Whereas you don't get that same level of exposure with purchase lease options. Do you find yourself in quite competitive situations?
I wouldn't say competitive, no, because it's usually it's not a last option. There are a couple of options like there's PLOs, purchase lease option, or there's EDCs or vendor finance, things like those. There's other ways of purchasing the property. So, but they are, I mean, it's getting more prevalent in residential. As I said, it's been in commercial a long time. But I noticed there's quite a few webinars going about. Even Simon Ducci himself did a webinar, I think, this week about purchase lease option. So it's getting more prevalent in the residential side. Competitive, no, I wouldn't say so, because you're at that line where it's educational more than competitive, because you're trying to educate the vendor that, yeah, I can match that price, but I need to do it this way. And if they're quite happy to do that and take a monthly income and think, well, I know I'm going to sell it at the end, which is what they're trying to do, then great. And that's usually the trigger point. The trigger point usually is if somebody's selling a house for 350 and it's overvalued, or you personally think it's overvalued, but you can do it on a purchase lease option, then you go to them and say, well, I can give you 350,000. Now you'd like to think immediately they're thinking, oh, I've got my price. Great, done. Doesn't matter how you achieve it, or it does matter how you achieve it because the ethics come into it. But if they're happy, you're happy. That's the win-win situation.
So you really that was quite eye-opening and very entrepreneurial that I took away from that is that you not target, it's probably the wrong word, but you look for people that are maybe based abroad that have assets in the UK. Because for me that strikes as someone that might you had a guy from at PIN Northampton just before Christmas who lived out in Australia or New Zealand, I think it was, and he had a portfolio of 25 properties that he was looking to get rid of. So from that perspective, that's really, really clever in terms of identifying that as a potential market. But what are the sort of other guys? What's the typical? Is there a typical sort of person that you want to deal with that's have they got sort of similar situations when you're discussing purchase lease?
It's usually trying to get someone who's motivated, which is probably a little bit more difficult. I mean, the PLO we've just taken on in Banbury is a 3-year PLO. But that was a funny old story because we'd approached him about a purchase lease option probably about 5 years ago. And he said, no, 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 no. Now, whether that's consistency and persistency are the key things in property usually. So we just carried on, kept in conversation with him, kept it very friendly. I said, I understand exactly where you're coming from. But then now, literally last year, he came back to us. He'd put it into auction. It hadn't sold twice in auction. So now you'd like to think he didn't need the money, but he's kind of motivated to get rid of the properties. And that's what he said. He's a little bit older than me, believe it or not. And he just said, I'm looking to offload it. He's still got one in London, but he said, I'm looking to offload this. I said, well, we had to readjust the figures, but I said, we're still offering the same kind of deal. And he went for it this time. But the irony is, if he had accepted it 5 years ago, we'd have bought it. Well, not probably, we would have bought the property and he'd be off his hands. But he's just had 5 years of pain, so to speak, for him. So, but we've done the
Yeah.
deal. So it's just consistency. Keep in touch with people. If it's what did somebody say about other products we were selling many years ago? I was selling some health products, but they just said it's not a no, it's not a no now. It might be a yes in the future. Don't worry about it.
Absolutely. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you so much, Mark. That was a fantastic session. And I think a lot of people got some great value out of that. So obviously, if people want to find you after this, if they've not been able to put a question to you now, they can obviously do it via your usual social media, your traditional social media, or they can do it in UK Homes Network. And Mark is really active. Mark is posting nearly every day, sharing updates on the projects that he's working on. Some really interesting images of some of the work that's being carried out currently on some of the projects. So if you want to keep up to date with some of the purchase lease options that Mark's been working on, please do sign up to UK Homes Network. It'd be great to have you in there. Mark, is there anything you want to plug just before we wrap things up?
You plugged at the beginning. You're talking at our property meeting next Thursday. So again, well, there'll be a link in UKHN, but yeah, PIN network at Northampton. Chris is talking there about social media, which is so vital this day and age, I think. Because I noticed that with letters in the old days, sound like an old man here. I probably am. In the old days, when you send letters out, people used to talk to you or phone you up and talk to you and find out about you. Now they Google you and tell you what you are. But that's an interesting point as well. Just going on from that, my friend Steve Baxendale, he's gone back to he's gone back to Australia, but he's Australian, but he was in the UK. But he's heavily into AI. He knows a lot about AI. I don't know if lots of people here know much about AI, but he said, and I do it now. And he said, I'm sure you guys in the past have said, "Oh, I don't know what this is. Oh, I'll Google it." I don't Google anything now. I AI it. There's AI chat GPT, and I just AI, and it just goes straight to the point and gets it. So that's unfortunately how technology is improving, really. And it's yeah.
Yeah, but as I always say, you can't beat the value you get face to face at a fantastic event like
No,
Northampton.
very true. Yeah.
So,
And as you say, we host Northampton. You're there on Thursday, so by all means, pop along if anybody's got any burning question or anything else. We're happy to chat. I'm always happy to chat anyway. So phone me, email me, Facebook, LinkedIn, not a problem.
100%. Thanks, Mark. Really appreciate it.
No
Guys, have a
problem.
lovely weekend. Great to see so many of you on the webinar. And if you need anything or if you're interested in social media, please pop along to the PIN Northampton meeting, or you can drop me a message in UK Homes Network. Catch you soon, guys. Take care.